Imagine opening a forgotten cardboard box and finding 97 brand new Nintendo games inside. They're not Nintendo Switch games, they're not even Nintendo 64 games. I'm talking about 97 pristine NES cartridges that had been sitting untouched for decades and were apparently supposed to be melted down for the tiny amount of gold inside them. But somehow they survived. And when collectors finally examined them, they discovered that these weren't just unusually clean copies of Super Mario Bros. They were a previously undocumented variant, and several of them have now become the first NES cartridges in history to receive a perfect PSA 10 grade. Hello friends, it's Tim here from Super Mayhem. Oh! And boy howdy do we have some incredible video game archaeology for you today. Now before we get too carried away, Nintendo hasn't secretly released Super Mario Bros. 97. Although at the rate they were releasing Super Mario games for a while there, I wouldn't completely rule it out. And there is probably some bootleg Mario game out there with that name as well. Anyway, what was actually discovered was a box containing 97 copies of the Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt combination cartridge. If you are into retro gaming, then you probably recognize these bad boys. It's the cartridge that allowed you to rescue Princess Peach, shoot some ducks, and then become furious when that smug dog laughed at you. Because apparently the Nintendo Entertainment System was also capable of emotional damage. The box belonged to Kevin Braun, the owner of a retro video game store called One Stop Wonders in Wisconsin. Years earlier, Kevin had bought it from someone whose grandfather had operated a precious metal recovery service. According to the story, this company had contracts with different businesses, including Nintendo, to recover gold from unwanted circuit boards. That means these cartridges were supposedly sent away to be destroyed so that the tiny gold contacts on them could be salvaged. Thankfully, someone looked at this box of Nintendo games and apparently said, I'll melt these tomorrow. And then tomorrow became more than 20 years later. The box eventually made its way into Kevin's retro game store, where it was placed in storage underneath some old Halloween decorations and completely forgotten about. Which means there was a box of untouched Nintendo history sitting beneath a plastic skeleton and a bag of fake spiderwebs. Kevin originally thought the cartridges were probably worth about $10 or $15 each. After all, Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt was one of the most common NES cartridges ever produced. There are probably enough of them in existence to even construct a small house or at least some kind of little shack or something. But when Nintendo Wire editor Jason Ganos heard about the box, he understandably wanted to see it. Inside were 97 individually bagged, seemingly brand new cartridges. Each one also had a pristine instruction manual tucked in behind it. The shipping label said the box originally contained 100 cartridges, meaning 3 of them had escaped at some point. Perhaps they're still out there, living new lives. I think one became an accountant, the other one moved to Canada, and the other one's probably sitting in someone's NES because they forgot to pull it out. At first, these appeared to be an exceptionally clean example of an extremely common game. But after Jason posted photographs in a game collecting group, experts from 2 different grading companies noticed that something wasn't right about them. The cartridges had a multilingual back label that collectors hadn't even documented before. The manufacturing codes on both of the cartridges and the manuals pointed to a late 1993 production run, and even the wording inside the manual was different. Previously documented manuals said maintenance or repairs. These ones said maintenance or service. This might sound like a tiny difference, and it absolutely is, but to serious collectors, changing 2 words in an instruction manual is basically the archaeological equivalent of discovering another pyramid. The date codes were also later than the known Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt console bundles. The code 9340 on the box translates to the 40th week of 1993, which would have meant that the production date was late August of that year. This suggests that the cartridges may have come from the final production run of the game. But there's also another mystery. Why was Nintendo still manufacturing these cartridges in late 1993 when the bundles they normally came with were no longer being sold? One theory is that they were created as replacement stock for warranty repairs or refurbished NES systems. Another possibility is that they were intended for a console bundle that was planned but never released. At this stage, no one knows for certain, which makes the discovery even more interesting. Jason and Kevin eventually decided to send the cartridges to PSA for authentication and grading. And by send, I mean Jason packed all 97 cartridges into his carry-on luggage and flew from Milwaukee to PSA's headquarters in California. I can just imagine him trying to get through airport security with that. I mean, who looks twice at a bag full of 97 electrical components on a carry-on bag? Anyway, after the PSA examined the games, the grades began arriving. Many received extremely high scores of 9.6 or even 9.8, but then one of them received something that had apparently never been awarded to an NES cartridge before, a perfect PSA 10 grade. And it wasn't alone. Once the entire grading process was complete, 5 of these Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt cartridges had received a perfect PSA 10 grade. That's 5 world first NES grades, found in a box that was almost melted down for scrap gold and then forgotten underneath some Halloween decorations. Some of the cartridges will be kept by Jason and Kevin, while others are expected to be sold or used in charity auctions, which is actually pretty cool of them if you ask me. One of the PSA 10 cartridges is scheduled to appear in the first group being auctioned through a company called Golden on August 12, 2026 though. Exactly how much will it sell for? Nobody knows. Maybe throw your 2 coins at it if you're feeling lucky or if you have a big bank account. At the end of the day, this is still Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt, one of the most widely produced cartridges for the NES. But it's also an undocumented variant from what may have been the game's final production run, in effectively untouched condition, with the first perfect NES grade ever awarded by PSA. Collectors sometimes pay enormous amounts for small pieces of gaming history. And this one comes with Mario, Duck Hunt, and a cardboard box that narrowly avoided becoming a tiny puddle of recycled gold. Me personally, I'm just glad these cartridges survived it all. They might look like 97 copies of the same common game, but together they've revealed a small piece of Nintendo history that nobody knew was missing. And it makes you wonder, what else might still be hiding in forgotten storage units, warehouses, and old retro gaming stores around the world? So what would you do if you found one of these cartridges? Would you get it graded, sell it, display it proudly, or would you immediately put it in an NES and ruin the perfect condition by playing World 1-1? Let me know in the comments. I'll also leave a link in the description to the full story from NintendoWire.com for those who want to read more about this amazing find. It's a really great story, you should check it out. Anyway, that's it for today my friends. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new, give this video a like, make a comment down below, and maybe share this video with your other retro gaming friends as well. And with all that said, I'll catch you soon my friends.